Yes, I would stand outside the bar because, and usually the reason I stand outside the bar now is because my very first court case, it was in Georgia, that I knew a little bit about sovereignty, and I like had these charges. It was given a false name and weed.
Okay.
And everybody knew you was gonna get a year probation and probably at least if you wasn't in jail a couple of weeks, you wasn't getting time served. You know what I mean? So I started researching it. And I did what's called an affidavit of sovereignty. And I took it to the clerk the day of court. I gave it to her. She time stamped it, and then she looked at the title of the document, and she looked at me like my head was on fire. And then she told me, "Oh, you go to the elevator and upstairs to blah 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 courtroom." And as soon as I turned and like started turning my shoulder, this 60-plus-year-old lady in a 2-inch heel started running across the clerk's office with my paperwork in her hand. And I was like, uh-oh, this might not be good. So I go upstairs. I'm standing in the back of the waive your rights line. And I'm like, okay, do I even need to be in this line? Probably not, but I'm standing here anyway, and I'm just gonna put, I had how I was gonna sign my name or whatever. And so I'm standing in this line, and the judge is talking to somebody. The chamber door opens, and this old lady comes flying out with a folder in her hand, and she slings it down in front of the judge. He looks at her like she's stark raving mad. Like, you see, I'm talking to somebody, like, why are you interrupting me? And she says, she's like, look in the folder. So he opens the folder. He immediately closes it. He looks at her with big eyes, and she's pointing at me. And I was like, oh, crap. Right? So, all right. So he finishes up real quick with the person that was in front of him, and he calls me next. Now, mind you, there is like 200 people waiting for court. There's so many people waiting for court that they're all sitting out in the hallways and the benches and on the floor. But he's going to call me now? I just got here.
Mm-hmm.
So he calls me up. And right before I crossed the bar, I remember that I had this little statement written on my hand. And I'm supposed to say this before I go in there. So I'm like, I stopped mid-step through the bar, and I read my little statement, and then I put my foot down. I didn't realize the judge had thrown his hands up and told me not even come in there.